My name's Daniel Redhawk, and I guess this is where everything started to come apart. Or maybe it's where the truth finally came out. This morning began just like any other. I woke up to the sound of my wife, Nora, softly humming in the bathroom while she got ready for work. That sound used to calm me. It meant things were steady, familiar, safe. But today, there was something different in the way she hummed. Like she was carrying something heavy, like there was something she wasn't telling me. Nora and I met back when we were both 28. We had just finished grad school, full of big dreams and restless ambition. We fell in love fast, real fast, and got married a year later. What drew me in was how much we had in common. We both wanted the same kind of life, one built on hard work, honesty, and loyalty. I believe we had that, or at least I did. I work in software development, buried most days in code, fixing problems most people never see but somehow can't live without. Nora works in marketing, creative and fast-paced, always on the move. Her job was the opposite of mine, but it seemed to balance us out. Or so I thought. Lately, though, things have been off. It started with late nights at work, business trips that came out of nowhere, and vague stories that sounded just a bit too polished. Last night, she sent a text saying her client dinner was running late. She added one of those smiley faces at the end, like that was supposed to make me feel better. I sat in front of my laptop trying to focus, but my mind kept drifting. It was almost midnight when she got home. Her cheeks were red from the cold, and she would not look me in the eye. She rattled off details about her dinner like she was reading a script. When she kissed me goodnight, it was quick, distant. Her lips didn't linger like they used to. As I lay next to her, staring at the ceiling, I felt this knot in my chest. I did not want to believe she could be hiding something, but I also knew I couldn't go on pretending nothing was wrong. That was when I made up my mind. I was going to figure out what was going on, even if it hurt. The next morning, the sun came in through the blinds, slicing the room into strips of gold and gray. Nora was already up. I could hear dishes clinking in the kitchen. I got out of bed and moved through the motions, shower, shave, shirt, tie, my body going on autopilot while my brain spun like a wheel stuck in mud. At breakfast, she was cheerful. Too cheerful. She looked incredible, like always, shoulder-length auburn hair, hazel eyes with little flecks of green in the light. But it was the way she smiled, too perfect, like she was trying to sell me something. I might be late again tonight, she said, pouring coffee into my mug. New client from overseas. Japanese tech firm. We're having dinner to go over the campaign. I'll try not to be out too late. I sipped my coffee and nodded. That's so? What's the company called? Oh, you wouldn't know them, she said quickly. Too quickly. After she left, the house went still. I sat there staring at the walls. It was like the silence itself was accusing me of ignoring the signs. I had to stop pretending. I went into the office, opened my laptop, and logged into our shared cloud drive. We had set it up years ago for storing photos and documents, vacation pics, recipes, scanned bills, stuff like that. I told myself this was just to put my mind at ease. A loving husband would trust his wife, but a loving husband also has the right to protect his marriage. At first, everything looked normal. Family holidays, birthday parties, pictures of our dog, Moose. Then I saw a new folder, one I had never noticed before. It was called Work Events, Private. Private? Why would anything between us be private? I clicked on it. The first few pictures were harmless. Cocktail parties, marketing events, big smiles. But the more I scrolled, the tighter my stomach got. Nora was in every photo, but so was a man I didn't recognize. Tall, clean-cut, probably in his early 40s. He was in every shot with her, arm around her waist in one, laughing as she whispered in his ear in another. I slammed the laptop shut. My heart felt like it had fallen through the floor. I needed more than just photos before I accused her of anything, but I could not ignore this. Not anymore. She said she had dinner plans with her team that night. I was going to follow her. I needed to see it with my own eyes. The day crawled by. I could not concentrate on work. Code blurred into nonsense. My thoughts kept going back to that man's hand on my wife's back. When evening came, I told her goodbye like usual. She kissed my cheek and said, "I'll try not to be too late." I waited 5 minutes, grabbed my coat, and left. She had left the restaurant's name open on her laptop that morning. By mistake, I assumed. It was the same place where we once celebrated our 3rd anniversary. I parked across the street. The cold air fogged up the windshield as I waited. People bustled past in coats and scarves. Nobody paid me any mind. I watched the door like a hawk. Nora arrived by herself. No coworkers. No group. She looked around before going inside, like she expected someone. My heart sank. She was not meeting her team. 10 minutes later, he arrived. The man from the photos. Sharp suit, confident stride. He paused, scanned the street, and then went inside too. I waited. I did not storm in or make a scene. I sat there, watching the windows glow while my heart went cold. When they came back out over an hour later, they were laughing. Close. His hand grazed the small of her back like it belonged there. She leaned into him like it was natural. I stayed in my car, hands clenched tight on the steering wheel, jaw locked. I did not move. They disappeared down the sidewalk, and I was left sitting there alone, staring at the place where my marriage used to be. I would confront her, but not tonight. Tonight, I was grieving. Not for Nora, but for the love I thought we had. By the time morning rolled around, I finally started the car and drove back home. The engine hummed, but all I could hear was silence, both outside and inside me. That silence matched the emptiness in our bed, where Nora used to sleep beside me every night. The streets I'd driven hundreds of times before felt different now, colder, darker. Every turn brought back flashes of what I had seen the night before. Her laughing, him touching her. They were burned into my brain, images I could not unsee. I parked, walked inside, and sat down in the living room without turning on a single light. The shadows in the house felt heavier than usual, like they knew something was wrong. When I heard Nora's car roll into the driveway, my chest tightened. I was angry. I was hurt. But more than anything, I needed answers. The front door creaked open and closed softly, like she was trying not to wake me. I heard her keys hit the bowl by the door, her boots shuffle on the mat. Then she saw me sitting in the dark. "Daniel," she asked, her voice uncertain. "Why are you sitting in the dark? Is everything okay?" I stood slowly, stiff like I had not moved in hours. "No," I said quietly. "Nothing's okay. We need to talk." She turned on the lamp. Her eyes searched my face. "What is it? What's wrong?" I swallowed hard, the words stuck in my throat. "I saw you tonight, Nora. I was there. At the restaurant. I saw you with him." Her eyes went wide, but just for a second. Then she blinked and frowned. "With who?" "Daniel, what are you talking about? Do not lie to me. That man, the one you've been calling a client. I saw how close you were. It is not what you think it is." She shook her head, her mouth tightening. "You were following me? Daniel, that is insane. He is a client." "Yes, I had dinner with him. We are working together on a campaign." "That is it. You were touching him," I said, my voice rough. "You looked at him like you used to look at me." "I cannot believe this," she snapped. "You snooped on me and now you are accusing me of cheating based on what? A hug? A smile?" "I saw enough, Nora." "Well, maybe if you trusted me," she said, her voice sharp, "we would not be having this conversation." She turned and headed down the hallway. "I am going to bed," she said flatly. "Talk to me when you are ready to be reasonable." And with that, she was gone, just left me standing there, staring into the hallway, heart in my throat. I did not sleep at all that night. I went over every moment again and again. Her face, his hand, her smile. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. But the pictures in my head would not fade. I could not tell if she was lying, or if I was losing my mind. We kept up the dance for a few weeks after that. She acted like everything was fine. Even invited me to a couple work events, kept her phone out in the open. I wanted so badly to believe that night was just a mistake, a misunderstanding. But deep down, the trust was cracked. And once something's cracked, it never goes back the same way. Then came the night everything unraveled for good. She told me she had another client dinner. I decided to meet her afterward, surprise her. As I walked past the row of restaurants downtown, something in my gut told me to keep my distance. That was when I saw the car, parked just beyond the lights. 2 figures inside. Nora and him. They were kissing. No mistaking it this time. I froze. Cold wind whipped through the street, but I did not feel it. My chest burned. I crossed the street and walked straight up to the car. Knocked hard on the window. She looked up, eyes wide like she had seen a ghost. He scrambled like a kid caught sneaking out. "Step out," I said. "Now." Nora slid out of the car, face pale. "Daniel, I can explain." "I think we are past that," I said, flat and hollow. "Let us go home." The drive was dead quiet. She looked out the window. I gripped the steering wheel like it was the only thing holding me together. Back at the house, she stood in the kitchen, arms folded like she was waiting to be scolded. I trusted you, I said. You swore it was just business. You looked me in the eye and lied. She started to cry. It was a mistake. I did not plan for this to happen. I shook my head. You said that before. It was not a mistake. It was a choice. Over and over again. I love you, Daniel. Please, we can fix this. We can go to therapy. This is not something therapy can fix, I snapped. This is not about a rough patch. This is betrayal. She paused, then stepped closer. Her voice got quiet, but sharper. Are you really going to throw away everything? Our house, our life? You sure you want to drag this through court? It hit me right then. She was not just trying to apologize. She was warning me. I will not stay in a marriage built on threats, I said. She blinked. For once, she had no comeback. We stood there in silence, staring at each other. Finally, she said, fine. Take your time. But know this, we are still married. That means something. I walked away. Her words hung in the air like smoke. The next few days were tense. We were polite, but fake. I kept to myself. She made herself busy. I felt like I was living with a stranger. Then the rumors started. People at work were different. Awkward. Quiet. I thought maybe I was just imagining it, until I overheard a woman near the break room. I heard he is controlling, she whispered. Per Nora. Sounds like he is not letting her leave. I stood there, stunned. The next blow came from my own sister. Daniel, what is going on with you and Nora? Anna asked when she dropped by. People are saying some awful things. What things? That you have been emotionally abusive. That Nora is scared of you. I just stared at her. That is not true. None of that is true. She has been talking to people, Daniel. Friends, even clients. Telling them she is worried about how you will react. I felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. It was not just betrayal anymore. It was character assassination. I tried to fight back. Reached out to friends. Explained my side. Some believed me. Others were hesitant. The worst part? She was winning. Painting herself as the victim. Lying about me. Turning my life into a story where I was the villain. Then one night, my old friend Mark called me. I have heard what they are saying, he said. I know that is not who you are. What can I do? I nearly broke down right there. We agreed to gather a few close friends. Talk it out. Set the record straight. I was going to confront all of it, head on. Because whatever came next, I was not letting her take my truth away. The lies Julia had wrapped around our life were finally unraveling, thread by thread. It felt like walking blindfolded through a minefield, every step loaded with risk, but with Derek and a few close friends by my side. I finally felt like I had a flashlight. Derek hosted the meetup at his place. The room was quiet at first, just heavy stares and nervous energy. I laid it all out, how I'd suspected Julia, what I saw that night, how she denied everything and then twisted the truth to make me out as the bad guy. When I got to the part about her telling people I was abusive, I could see the shock on their faces. Some had believed her, at least a little. But they were honest about it, and more importantly, they were on my side now. That support gave me the strength to do what I should have done sooner, file for divorce. The next morning, I sat down across from Eleanor, a divorce attorney with a reputation for being sharp, fearless, and quick on her feet. She had handled messy cases like mine before. We have to act fast, she told me, looking me dead in the eye. If she's spreading false stories, we need to make sure your side is on record legally before anything spirals further. I nodded. Her confidence was comforting. Everything else in my life was falling apart, but she gave me something solid to hold on to. Just as I started feeling like I had control again, Julia dropped another bombshell. She asked me to meet her at a quiet coffee shop in town. We sat at a corner table, her hands nervously twisting a paper napkin, her face tight with tension. Daniel, she said slowly, I know you've talked to a lawyer, but I need to tell you something important, something that might change everything. I sat there, guarded. I half expected some manipulative twist, but what came out of her mouth hit harder than anything I had prepared for. I'm pregnant. I stared at her. The words sank in slowly, like molasses. Pregnant? Was this real? Or was it just another tactic, one last desperate play to keep me from leaving? How far along are you? I asked. I just found out, she replied, voice softer now. I thought the stress was making me feel sick, but I took 2 tests, and they were both positive. And you think this changes everything? I asked. It could. Maybe this is a sign, she said, reaching for hope. Maybe we can still fix what's broken for the baby. That word, baby, it hit hard. If she was telling the truth, this was no longer just about me or her. There was a child involved. My child. I couldn't just walk away without knowing for sure. I need proof, I told her plainly. We can go to the doctor together, she said, a flicker of hope in her eyes. As I left the coffee shop, everything looked different. I had walked these streets 100 times, but now they felt foreign, like I had stepped into someone else's life. I called Eleanor to update her. If it's true, this changes everything, she said. But we'll need confirmation from a doctor. Independently. A few days later, we sat in her doctor's office, shoulder to shoulder but miles apart emotionally. Julia looked nervous. I could not tell if it was because of the pregnancy or the situation or both. The doctor confirmed it. Julia was pregnant. My stomach twisted in knots. It was real. No longer a what if. I was going to be a father. But I was still a husband to a woman I could no longer trust. On the ride home, Julia reached for my hand. Daniel, maybe this is our second chance. For us. For our child. I pulled away. Just because we're having a baby doesn't mean we're suddenly okay. I haven't forgotten what you did. She looked down, her hope fading. I know I made mistakes. But maybe this is a fresh start. I sighed. We need to figure out what's best for this child. And being together, pretending like nothing happened, that might not be it. But Julia wasn't giving up. I could feel her trying to shift the story. Slowly, to our friends, to her family, she began painting herself as the woman trying to hold her marriage together while her cold husband walked away. That narrative spread like wildfire. Relatives started calling. Friends stopped answering my texts. Even people I thought knew me well were hesitant, unsure what to believe. I met with Eleanor again. This is going to get ugly, she warned. If we move forward with divorce now, she'll use the pregnancy as leverage. You need to be prepared for a custody battle. I still want to go through with it, I said. But I won't abandon my child. I'll be a father no matter what happens. So we filed the paperwork. Julia's reaction was just as explosive as I expected. You're walking out on your child, she screamed. You're breaking up our family before it's even begun. It's not about abandoning anyone, I told her calmly. It's about fixing what's broken and the only way left. I can still be a father. I just can't be your husband. She didn't want to hear it. The divorce process was long and brutal. She fought every detail. Custody. Support. Visitation. Eleanor helped me push for joint custody, but Julia did everything she could to block it. Meanwhile, the social fallout kept growing. Julia's side of the story had become gospel to some. At work, in my neighborhood, even at the grocery store, I could feel the stares. But I stayed the course. I joined a support group for single dads going through divorces. Their stories helped. I learned how to keep focus on the child, even when everything else feels broken. When Julia's due date got closer, things reached a boiling point. Then, one afternoon, I got the call from her lawyer. Julia had gone into labor. My heart pounded. I grabbed my keys, locked the door behind me, and drove straight to the hospital. I did not know what would happen when I got there. Maybe more drama. Maybe more accusations. But I knew this much. Whatever had happened between Julia and me, none of it was this baby's fault. When I stepped into the hospital room, Julia was lying there, looking tired but peaceful. In her arms was a tiny newborn, wrapped in a blanket, fast asleep. Can I? I asked. She nodded. I stepped closer and looked down at the tiny face. The baby's breathing was slow and steady. A perfect, innocent soul born into a world that was anything but simple. A nurse beside me smiled softly. I didn't smile back. But in that moment, something in me shifted. This was not about me and Julia anymore. It was about someone new. Someone who would need me. Someone I would never walk away from. Holding that newborn for the first time was unlike anything I had ever felt before. My chest tightened with awe, fear, and something deeper I did not want to admit, doubt. Ever since Julia told me she was pregnant, I had been walking around with this uneasy feeling, like something did not quite fit. The timing. The circumstances. The way our relationship had already been falling apart. I needed to know the truth, so I had requested a paternity test quietly, without telling her. The results were due any day. A few days later, I was back at my place when the call came in. I was sitting in the living room, surrounded by photos of better days, pictures of us smiling, of holidays, our dog. The phone rang, and I picked it up, trying to keep my voice calm. Mr. Foster, the woman said, we have your paternity results. Okay, I replied, bracing myself. Go ahead. There is no biological match. You are not the father of the child. Those words hit harder than anything I had heard before. Not the father. I stood there frozen, gripping the back of a chair to keep from falling. My stomach dropped, my mind scrambled. Relief, anger, heartbreak, it all came rushing in. When I met with Eleanor, my attorney, she was direct as always. "This changes everything," she said, scanning the paperwork. "Your legal ties to the child are severed. No support, no custody battle. We can adjust the filings immediately." With the truth in hand, I met Julia one final time at her lawyer's office. When I laid the test results on the table, the blood drained from her face. "Michael," she started, but nothing else came out. I stared at her. "Why, Julia? Why would you lie about something this serious?" She looked down at the table for a long time before whispering, "I thought it would bring us back together. I thought it might fix everything. You were willing to let me raise a child that isn't mine?" I asked, my voice calm but full of disbelief. The conversation was long, emotional, and final. I told her I would not be pursuing any parental rights. I was out. For good. As I walked out of that law office, something inside me felt lighter for the first time in months. The pain was still there, but so was a sense of clarity. I was finally stepping out of the storm. The divorce was finalized a few weeks later. Quietly, no big courtroom drama. Julia and I sat apart, silent as the judge signed off and pronounced it over. As I left the courthouse, I noticed the weight on my left hand was gone, my wedding ring, which I had removed days earlier. I looked down at my empty finger and felt a strange combination of sadness and freedom. Over time, the truth came out. Julia's lies about the baby, the cheating, the rumors she had spread. People started to see her for who she really was. Friends who had pulled away reached out again. Some apologized for doubting me. Slowly, the circle I thought I had lost began to rebuild. Work got better too. With my head clearer and less stress hanging over me, I was able to dive back into my projects. A few new opportunities came up, and I took them on with everything I had. The support group I had joined during the divorce kept me grounded. Those people got it. They had walked similar paths. And with their help, I found a new purpose. I started volunteering for an organization that helped others dealing with betrayal and divorce. Helping others helped me heal too. I found myself picking up hobbies I had forgotten about: photography, hiking, travel. Every picture I snapped, every trail I hiked, felt like a small victory. I was taking pieces of myself back, one step at a time. Eventually, I started dating again. Slowly, cautiously. Trust didn't come easy, but I had learned a lot from the wreckage Julia left behind about communication, boundaries, and the kind of love that doesn't need lies to survive. One crisp fall evening, I was standing on a hill just outside the city, camera in hand, waiting for the sunset. The sky lit up in oranges and purples, like it was putting on a show just for me. As I stood there watching the day end, I thought about how far I had come. Yeah, the pain had been real. The betrayal, deep. But I had made it through. Stronger, smarter, and more aware of who I was and what I deserved. Julia was part of my past now. She would always be in the chapters one had already written, but she would not be part of the pages I still had to fill. I packed up my camera and headed back down the trail, my step steady and sure. For the first time in a long while, I felt ready. Ready to move on. Ready to start fresh. Ready to live again.